My name is Ella Jean, your local fantasy author, and we are back! Sorry for missing last week, I was horribly sick. I have some chronic conditions going on that can beat my ass sometimes. But we're back! We're doing something nice and simple. We are going to continue following Scarlett Smith on her adventures to solve the apocalypse. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I wrote a book when I was 14 about a college student talking out of my ass for most of it, and I was so offended when I went back to read it that I nearly cried and I never edited it. So now we are going through and reading it. We are having some fun. We are getting inspired by actually it not being as bad as I think it is. Where we last left off, Scarlett Smith is meeting some of the Angel Baratiels and the Demon Exophan's friends for filler, basically. If you want the honest truth, this book hardly hit 60,000 words, and even that was pulling teeth. I do love that there's acknowledgement at the beginning of chapter 4 that just casually, we met up with a couple of other... That is a sentence. We met up with a couple of other of Baratiel and Exophan's friends. Grammar. The best. But that's casually thrown out there. Apparently she gets to meet other magical folks. Do we learn who they are? No. Do they have any purpose in this book? No. Should they have even been included? No, not really. So little Ella hadn't figured that out yet. Scarlett attempts to go back to class instead of dealing with this bullshit. And once again, she just decides to walk away from these motherfuckers because she gives no shits that there is an angel and a demon following her around. But she should have, because she starts to walk away, and Baratiel the angel just like tackles her. I hear a rustling of feathers, like a group of birds taking off, and then I was tackled to the ground. Or at least, that's where I was expecting to end. Instead, my feet left the ground, and I'm being dragged through the air by Baratiel. Exophan jumped from tree to tree underneath us, leading the way to the shopping district. I started screaming bloody murder and beating at Baratiel's arms around my waist. "Stop struggling!" he yelled right in my ear. I ignored him and tried to slip out of his grip. Then I realized he was climbing high in the sky, and I froze in terror. That's what I thought. So they kidnap her. This is like outright kidnapping this time. But I do love, in case you missed it, she's been in this college town for 2 years, and yet anytime they bring her anywhere, she's like, I don't know where we are. I don't know where we are. I don't know where we are. And it's finally acknowledged, because little Ella realized that she should know where she is. She says, you'd think after living in a small town for 1.5 years, you would know where you were, but I didn't get out much. Is it a good excuse? No. Does it explain a quirk of the book? Yes. So I think that is a point for little Ella. Are we doing points now? After last episode where, I actually was proud of the scene I wrote, I'm kind of wanting to give her points. Sing her praises. Then she goes into a magical bar, because of course there's a magical bar. Every fantasy book I was reading, aka Mortal Instruments, had a magical bar, so there was going to be a magical bar. Then we meet V, or Vanessa. Exophan is the one who introduces her. She's behind the bar, and Scarlett notes that she wore very tight jean shorts and a low-cut shirt, and was very curvy, with a body anyone would be jealous of. Her short lavender hair was gelled up, a hairdo very few people could pull off, but she could. Why? We're not going to mention it, she just could. She looked ageless. And then, her first line to Exophan is, "Darling, how have you been?" she asked, leaning over the counter and crushing Exophan in a hug that was mostly boob. I don't know how many big-breasted women watch my channel. I have large breasts, as you can tell by the fact that every fucking button-up I own has a gap in it. This is not meant to be a sexual thing, this is just a comment. I have large breasts. So if I hug someone, and that hug ends up being either it's a real short person, compared to me. I'm not very tall, so that's impressive. Or it's like at an angle, so you're hugging over a desk, and you end up pulling them into your chest. It's a booby hug. That is what this line right here is for little Ella trying to get used to her boobs. And that is, I can stand by that. That is a fact of life. It is not a sexual thing. This is not I can tell a man wrote this. This is, I hope that anyone out there understands what a hug that is mostly boob means. Another point for little Ella. And then, of course, we continue the trend of everyone just knowing about this apocalypse thing. So the rumors are true. Some poor soul has been roped into your apocalypse. Well, hi! My name's Vanessa. I'm a witch. I can't appreciate this because little Ella at this point had a job. Vanessa turned around and was yelling at someone else. Hey, James, I'm taking my break! A disgruntled-looking man poked his head out of the back room. He had large ears and was really short. His skin has an odd green tint to it. He grumbled something to Vanessa in a language I didn't recognize, but she just waved him off, responded in the same language. How could she recognize it's the same language? Don't know. So they slide in, and she says not to call her ma'am, she's just Vanessa. And then XFM told me I was supposed to help explain some things to you. When was this communicated? Do they have phones? No? Okay, so what magical communication system do they have? Because usually, when there are magical communication systems, they can only be communicated by the same species. So I don't know what the fuck she's supposed to do. And now, we get into another scene of little Ella clumsily painting the brush of something that big Ella is actually pretty proud of. You see, I, at the time, knew there was a lot of, good magic versus bad magic, white magic versus black magic, and all that. I didn't like that. So I leaned into this idea of chaotic magic or balanced magic, with balanced magic being, focus and patience and dedication being the driving force, and chaotic magic being emotion as the source. And honestly, I love that idea. The idea that it's not emotion being the source is evil, rage, how dare you. That's just another type of magic, and I love that idea, especially because we get into this so clumsily. Vanessa, straight up says, I started magic because I had personal body issues in my life and didn't have money to fix it by normal means. Slowly, I was able to change my body how I liked it. This is not a conversation you have with someone right off the bat. This is a conversation that would be woven through the system later. But at the time, my brother is trans, and I was learning all about trans identities and gender dysphoria and what it meant. And I was trying so hard to be representative. This is painted with the most clumsy and broad of brushes, but by golly, is she gonna do it? And then, of course, she explains that she was born male, but always knew that she was a girl. And surgery was too expensive, and basically just magicked herself the way she wanted. I love this take that little Ella came up with, because you'd expect to go the route of little Ella, who knows she's queer but doesn't know how, who is trying to figure out the best of life and what it means to be kind and representative and all that. So you'd expect it to be oh yeah, even the angels support queerness, even though the angels have been shown not to care at all. And this is what we love, and all that, and have it be too forceful of a brush. But she actually has a bit of nuance. Scarlet says, I glanced at Baratail, expecting the angel to have a bad reaction to her changing her born gender. Instead, he seemed impressed. That isn't easy magic. You must be a very good witch, he admitted. I gave him a look of surprise. Baratail, isn't the Bible against that or something? I thought it was considered against God to reject the gender he gave you, I asked. I never understood why people hated on trans people. It wasn't their body, it didn't affect them. They should be allowed to live their life any way that made them comfortable. That is a little bit too pointed and too But then, there's actually a really good moment here. Actually, I don't know what the Bible says, Fairytale explained to me. I gave him a look of surprise. This is the second look of surprise in 2 paragraphs. You think angels told humans to write a Bible? No, humans wrote that on their own after seeing angels and demons on Earth. So every religion ever is just wrong? I asked, snorting a little. Not necessarily, X-Fun chimed in. It's just angels and demons don't know any more than you guys. We don't know how we were created or even what happens after a death. That's a mystery for all of us. And honestly, I really like that idea. It isn't necessarily an idea I'd lean into now. I am doing a very different world for those who seek magic. While there are some ideas here that I will build on later, not all of it will. However, what we have been shown in this book is that angels and demons really don't care about humans. They are fighting each other in an apocalypse for the longest of times. The angels don't really care and the demons find us funny. It's not this sense that they're the higher power. So to have the Bible, which is written by humans, not even be something angels inspired. That angels are like, you guys did that, man. I mean, we just kind of showed up and humans started worship. That's just how it went. And I like that. I don't know if it will be properly explored. My guess is it will just be abandoned from here on out. Because baby Ella is still learning. But you know what? Another point for her. Is that up to 3? I think that's up to 3. Baby Ella is getting all sorts of points this chapter. If this isn't proof that anyone can write, I don't know what is. One of these times, I swear, I'm gonna take this first chapter and rewrite it, and you guys are gonna get to see what good writing can do what skilled writing can do to a halfway decent idea. And then we actually... Scarlet attempts to process everything she's been told, simply by saying, I sat there in silence trying to process all of it. My life had been turned upside down within the past day. I'd never been completely comfortable and used to being thrown curveballs in life, but this was too much. I felt as if I'd been pushed off a boat that I was always barely clinging to it to begin with. I realized everyone was staring at me. I know I must look a complete wreck, but I was struggling internally. There was not a single description in that entire thing. This is the grand moment where Scarlet realizes maybe this is all too much. Maybe this is too much of a world and a shock, and finally is going to break down. Not a single description of us was given, other than I knew I must have looked a complete wreck. That does not describe anything. The better way to say this would have been like, my shoulders started to shake and all of the energy that was coursing through me began to show on my face as tears welled in my eyes. Everything I had been shown in the past day. Sorry, this is all coming off the cuff. My entire life has been destroyed in one day. I had never been completely comfortable. I have always pushed and pushed and pushed through everything I needed, but this is all too much. I'm sitting there in a booth, surrounded by people that I assumed were from books the day before. It was as if I'd been pushed off a boat that I had always barely been clinging to, and now been dragged deep into the depths of the water. That was all said off the cuff. I can't guarantee any of that is good. But that is more description. It gives you, because what you're looking to do when you're writing something like this is you're looking to give the readers something to connect to. And you'd think that broad would do better, that everyone would connect to something broad. But in fact, what does better is usually something very specific. Because people want to know depth. They want to have that piece that even if they've never experienced it, they can truly imagine that this character is experiencing. Fairytale finally is like, You now know the power of the decision you are making. Side with the angels! Demons will destroy the world. And Vanessa's sitting there being like, angels are already better than demons. You have to understand, Scarlet, while demons strive for chaos, angels are the exact opposite and strive for perfection. And trust me, humans are not up to their standards. Have you even watched the news? Angels would see most humans as an inferior species and wipe them out. And I do like... This is a great moment. I don't think it's portrayed properly because Scarlet this entire time has disliked both of them. I think if maybe she had seen more of herself in Baratiel, either through, I'm not good at writing religious characters, but either through being Christian or at least having been raised enough around it to be like, ah yes, angels are the sense of good, that's what they're supposed to be. And then in this moment, realize that neither force around her is the right option when she asks, is that true? I think that would have been better. However, I do like Baratiel. That is not quite right. Humans would just have to change. We would help them. There would be no bloodshed. Yeah, XFN said. It's just that all humans that couldn't be helped by your standards would mysteriously disappear, never be seen again. Come on, Firebug. At least anything demons did would be over quickly. And then that moment where she's like, oh fuck, doesn't want to let them see her cry. I think it would have been way better. I guess, credit where credit's due. Scarlet's been shown to basically think both of them aren't real. To like, oh, these are just these things. This is just happening. And while I think that's a wild human response, to just be like, yeah, I'll follow these creatures, but it's not like they're actually anything. I do get then going, oh fuck, neither of these options are good. I do think there's a chance there. I don't think it counts as a point though. Because yes, I'm leaning into these points. And then Vanessa actually takes her out between them, leads her to the park. What park? I don't know. How does she know the park exists? I don't know. The park. Anymore, I set my books in actual cities because I lose my mind making up cities on my own. High fantasy, one of my most hatred things in doing when I write high fantasy is plotting out what the fucking city looks like. Because I'm like the person who goes, I want to make a functioning city. I want to make sure it makes sense. And then one day I'm like, oh fuck, I can't have this dramatic damsel in distress run from the palace to the city guard tower because that would be 12 miles in high heels. And I'm like, ah, god damn it. That's what's happening here, where little Ella's just going, it's a town, a park should exist somewhere. Is it next to the bars? Looks like it. And then Vanessa and her have a moment. I used the wrong there again. We'll ignore that. Once again, it would have been they are. They are is the easiest one to understand. I don't know why the fuck little Ella can't figure out they are as there. But whatever. She's sitting with Vanessa looking at her eyes, which have been turned purple because of the use of magic. And then they have a wonderful conversation. Scarlet's like, how long have you been doing magic? I asked quickly, trying to avoid crying. I didn't want to cry in front of a complete stranger. Not too long, she answers, her eyes sparkling. I'm not that much older than you. I just assumed... I stopped myself. I didn't want to tell her that I just assumed she was old. But she seemed to still know what I was thinking and smiled and waved it off. I'm not nearly as old as most half-beings, she laughs. And anyway, witches can only make it to about 200 years if they try. And now, I ham-fisted idea in, but I really like the idea, so we'll see how it goes. In fact, everything must die someday. Vampires, witches, fae, they all have a set lifespan. Do angels and demons? I asked. Everything has a lifespan, even if it's much longer than you can comprehend, Vanessa said quietly. She thought about it for a minute, eyes searching the park, then she turned to me. Think about humans versus dogs. Cats are better, I mumbled quietly. She gave me a look, her eyes seemingly sparking with some energy. She looked fierce, causing me to backtrack, to avoid her blowing me up or something. But dogs are great too. Think about humans versus cats, she said, shaking her head. To a human, cats have very short lifespans. But then think about a tree. Trees live much longer than humans, but even the tree will die, even if it takes much, much longer. It's like that. Angels and demons have incredibly long lifespans, but very few things can kill them. But they have to die at some point. Yeah. And then they go off into, like, the apocalypse. But once again, we don't get any, like, specifics about the apocalypse. It's like, if they live for so long, why do they care if the apocalypse ends? Because angels and demons can kill each other. And that's all the apocalypse is, a bunch of unending murder. Both sides want it to stop, but they don't have the power or numbers to actually change the tides. That's just normal war. That's just normal war, because both sides want it to stop, but they only want it to stop if they're the winner, and they don't think the other side will let them be the winner. Go off, little Ella. Another point. And then Vanessa offers to teach her magic, and Baratiel and Exophon show up, and the two are arguing, but it dissolves as Vanessa and Scarlet run up on them. Why does Scarlet go back? And Vanessa makes a point that, like, anything you do will actually, if you're fated to stop the apocalypse, it'll happen one way or the other. I'm pulling Percy Jackson, where it's like, yes, you're trying to get out of the prophecy, but in trying to get out of the prophecy, you will do the prophecy. It's that shit. I don't think Scarlet should have just rejoined them, but she does. Look, I don't know how much of that is going to stay in, but it's supposedly been 30 minutes. I guess I'm becoming more long-winded as it goes on. I hope you're still enjoying this. I am hoping to get out a video comparing all of my first chapters of Whispers in the Shadows to show you how a book evolves over time. But until then, please comment if there's anything else you would like to see. Please follow along for more. And as always, remember, writing is difficult, and daring to continue after the first page is brave, especially the way the world is right now. Please, I want to form a community with you, because I truly believe anyone can write, and everyone has a story in them. Thanks.